Hello, today we are going to say a few words about effective learning because many people think that they will learn particular content if they keep repeating and repeating it all over again and usually in the same context or studying the same notes. This is actually not how learning proceeds, how it takes place in the mind. First of all, for learning to take place, there has to be meaning. If there is no meaning, then what you can have is actually a sequence of phonemes, a sequence of words which mean nothing to you, and they're just a memory game. And when you are very young, you learn by heart the national anthem or whatever poems without actually understanding many of the words you are articulating. That's memorizing, rote learning, and it's not gonna stick. It's not gonna stick. And even if it does stick, it's not going to help you build a coherent body of knowledge, which is intrinsically coherent. So, first of all, for example, learning vocabulary. When you have learned some new words or expressions or idioms, the first you want to do is not only to memorize what it sounds like, how it sounds, the pronunciation, the spelling, but you also want its meaning, and the meaning is best shown in context. In context. So no context, no meaningful learning. And once again, let me stress, learning is meaningful. Meaningful means that it becomes, this new content becomes part of your cognitive structure, part of your mental structure. So you're assimilating this, you're building connections with what you already know about the world, about the language. And without this, there's hardly any hope learning can take place. If this learning is to be useful in your life, useful in how you interpret reality, useful in how you will understand new things. And once encountered, a new word or a new term or new definition, whatever, should be repeated, again meaningfully, within a few minutes. Within a few minutes. Don't go on nervously to discover more and more until you have revised what you have just learned. And the revision, the new encounter with the already encountered word, is to be in context. Try to build a sentence with the new word. If you build a sentence, any sentence, then what happens is you are integrating the new piece of knowledge with your already existing cognitive or mental structure, your intellectual architecture, and then it holds on, it clings on to the general body of your knowledge. And then the next revision must take place within 24 hours of encountering a particular new component of knowledge. Why do I insist on 24 hours? Because, well, it's actually physics of the brain, it's chemistry, it's electricity. 80% of new knowledge virtually sort of evaporates from the brain, within 24 hours. You just lose it. You just retain on average. I say on average because knowledge is different, contexts are different, minds are different, but on average, only 1/5, only 20% of what you learned yesterday is what you will remember today, unless you revise. And revising again must be meaningful, so make another sentence with the word you learned yesterday and revised after a few minutes yesterday. Make another sentence and try to use it. Try to use it in conversation, try to use it in written assignment, and sometimes even forcefully. Well, but as long as you express the particular thought, it's good. It's better to keep using, it's very important to keep using what you have learned recently. And it's way more important to do it than to anxiously and nervously keep adding and adding and adding to your vocabulary stock, to your vocabulary store in your memory. Because when you are learning nervously, anxiously, a lot of new material without revising the recently encountered, recently presented, recently learned material, then, well, you may have big knowledge, but that knowledge will not translate into speaking skill and into speaking fluency. So once again, using actively what you have learned recently is more important than learning new material. So a rule of thumb for you, when you have a learning session, you allocated yourself some time for learning, let's English vocabulary or another. It may be related to other content. It may be physics. It may be biology, it may be mathematics, whatever the case may be, history, but I'm talking about language on this channel. So whatever you are doing, revise before you start learning new content. Before you don't start learning new things, selecting, choosing, whatever, doing the next pages of your book. Don't start learning new content until you have solidly revised what you learned yesterday, what you learned this week, what you learned last week. And as you go forward, then your language knowledge will grow. It will grow like a snowball effect. Yeah, it will. What you have already learned is there. It's retained. Plus, you keep adding a little new material. And to wrap up this small talk, the new things which you learn, for example, new vocabulary, new words, must be put in the context of what you previously learned, so that you could build a comprehensible body of intrinsically coherent knowledge. In this way, everything will be readily available, ready at hand, whatever you want to express. Of course, I'm not talking about technical vocabulary or English for specific purposes, but it also holds water if you're learning medical English, you learn in the same way. So once again, rote learning by heart and learning word lists with definitions doesn't make sense if your purpose is to achieve fluency in speaking. It may make sense before some reading activity. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying don't make it the principal way in which you are learning. Okay? So that would be it for today, and I wish you fruitful and very meaningful experience of learning foreign languages and learning as such, whatever it may be. Bye-bye.